And if you haven't heard the name Desmond Napoles, get ready for this trailblazing 11-year-old drag kid who RuPaul is calling the future. His bravery is
Sunday in the park with 10-year-old Desmond Napoles. This is one of his favorite playgrounds.
Desmond is amazing!
And this is the other.
You've done lots of interviews lately.
Yeah.
How come?
I don't know. I guess it's because I'm so famous and such an inspiration to so many people.
An inspiration to so many people.
You've heard of drag queens. Well, Desmond is a self-described drag kid. When this Brooklyn fifth grader isn't in school, he's doing photo shoots and runway shows. He's already been profiled in Vogue and even has his own drag name. Desmond is amazing.
You're pretty good at walking the runway.
Definitely.
Why do you think you're so good at it?
Natural born talent.
We met up with Desmond and his parents at the Fluid Project, a gender-neutral retail store in New York City. In contrast to their son, Wendy and Andrew Napoles say they couldn't be more mainstream. They say Desmond was born to have an audience.
When they handed him to me, it looks like he's posing. Okay, what a ham.
So when did he start dressing up? Do you remember?
As soon as he could grab things.
When Desmond was a toddler, Wendy says he'd sit in her lap as she'd watch the show RuPaul's Drag Race about adult drag queens, and he was mesmerized.
What made you go, ooh, I want to do that?
I think it was how beautiful they were and how amazing they looked. So I was like, I want to look amazing too.
Yes, he's only 10, but Desmond says he knows exactly who he is and is very open about it.
Desmond, are you transgender?
No.
Do you identify as gay, though? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
When did you come out?
Ever since I was born.
The city of Denver is considering a ban on conversion therapy for minors. Those therapies allege they can change sexual orientation. Now, for Mayor Hancock, it is a very personal issue. Our Tori Mason is live at the City County building to explain why Denver is tackling this issue. Hi, Tori.
Hey, Britt. Well, several states have already voted to ban conversion therapy, but in Colorado, that effort has failed 4 times. Mayor Hancock wants the LGBTQ community to know that Denver supports them and celebrates who they are. The mayor says banning conversion therapy will protect minors from the discredited and often dangerous practice used to change sexual orientation. According to the APA, it can lead to depression, anxiety, and self-destructive behavior. Council members say they've received positive feedback from the community about banning the practice, many people wondering how it's still legal. However, some believe it's not up to the city to decide what's best for other people's children.
But I feel that people should have a choice. I don't think that this should be a law, that it's mandated that conversion therapy is against the law. That's taking away the parents' rights.
Parents have a right to seek services for the well-being and health of their child, but that does not include things that are not therapeutically sound. When you come to somebody like myself, a healthcare provider, you rely on our expertise, you trust what we tell you. That's why we're here.
Well, happening right now, the Colorado Department of Health is considering a big change to state birth certificates. The change comes after years of debate by lawmakers and a civil lawsuit filed by a 13-year-old who wanted to change his gender. Denver 7's Megan Lopez is joining live. And Megan, what happened here? Did they pass it?
They just passed it within the last 5 minutes, Mitch. I actually just ran out of that meeting itself. So this state board of health did something that Colorado lawmakers for years could not seem to agree on, and that's go ahead and change the way that you can designate yourself on a birth certificate in 2 ways. So here's an explainer of how that's going to work. From 2 options to 4, an operation to a simple form. At the Colorado State Board of Health today, a big change is underway. Under a new proposal, birth certificates could soon have 4 options for people: male, female, X, and intersex. The board is also considering a move to allow people to change those birth certificates without needing a gender reassignment surgery. All you would need to do is fill out a simple form.
An identity document is important because if we don't have an identity document that matches who we are, we could experience harassment or discrimination, or we could be denied service.
It's just the latest change the LGBTQ community is pushing for in Colorado.
It's just another way that Colorado continues to lead, to make sure that all Coloradans are treated with dignity and respect.
In New York, a bill in the House gives people the right to bypass gender altogether and simply label themselves X on their birth certificate. Democratic Mayor Bill de Blasio says the change will allow transgender and non-gender conforming New Yorkers to live with the dignity and respect they deserve.
Why are we legitimizing on birth certificates something that is a mental disorder, something that causes you, makes you 20 times more likely to commit suicide? Dr. McHugh, who is the distinguished professor of psychiatry at Johns Hopkins University, who hasn't yet drunk the progressive PC Kool-Aid, maintains that this gender dysphoria, this desire to mutilate yourself, to amputee yourself because you don't feel like you are the biological sex that you really are, is a mental disorder.
Now comes a shocking trend: parents raising so-called babies instead of babies. Babies are supposedly genderless kids who are addressed as they or them, rather than he or she, giving them the option to choose their own gender. Elizabeth Johnston, also known as the activist mommy, describes this push as the latest effort by LGBT activists to normalize gender confusion.
There's been an agenda underfoot for years to erase gender distinctions, to confuse the clear distinction that our Creator has given us between man and woman.
Johnston says the LGBT community actively targets children through various projects.
And now we have this indoctrination and confusion taking place in our school systems with transgender puppets and drag queen story hours in public libraries, where our taxpayer funds are going to confuse children.
It's not just happening in America. North of the border, a transgender curriculum called SOGI is taught in Canadian schools. It stands for sexual orientation and gender identification. And one group has created a transgender puppet named Julia to teach school-age children about transgenderism and gender fluidity. Author and speaker Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson is an outspoken critic.
It is an indoctrination of all the children. What's happening is that parents are actually finding out it's been implemented. It's like we didn't know. Like they put it in underground without parental knowledge. They say that they consulted parents, but they consulted the LGBTQ community and some selected parents that they knew might be on their side.
Meanwhile, she says Christians are becoming bold and are taking a stand.
There's a big war going on up here. We're very upset. The rise is happening.
The word was this battle is not yours, Jehoshaphat. This battle is the Lord's.
And Charlene joins us now with more on this. So what are some other examples of the push to normalize transgenderism?
Ephraim, we're seeing it all over the spectrum. First of all, a group of doctors are actually giving 13-year-old teen girls double mastectomies because they feel like they're boys and they want to be identified as a boy. Giving them double mastectomies. This is something that is outrageous. We're also seeing Netflix earlier this year released a trailer for something known as Super Drags, a new series that's going to be talking about drag queen superheroes. Kids are going to be watching this, not to mention the whole bathroom debacle with the whole transgender bathroom issue. It's just all over the place we're seeing this.